So Spider-Man used to be known for his amazing friends, but in recent years, it's been much more about the villains. Thanks to Michael Keaton's critically acclaimed and fan-beloved portrayal as the Vulture in Spider-Man: Homecoming, it's easy to see how spectacular Spidey's bad guys can be. But here's the thing, outside of, and even within the Sinister Six, there are also some pretty strange villains in Peter Parker's purview. We're talking about, villains made of bees, or who talk to rats, or who choose a really random animal to be inspired by. Animal villains are kind of Spidey's thing, you'll see. So let's take you through 7 of Spider-Man's strangest villains and hope that someday we'll see some of this weirdness on the big screen. The Kangaroo is a villain created in 1970 who is literally just a boxer who learned to jump really high by living with kangaroos. It may not be the most glamorous supervillain story ever, but it's certainly the simplest. After Spider-Man beat him the first time, he had air jets installed into his legs to make his jumps even higher. This character is basically Luigi in Super Mario Bros. 2, but as a villain. A second Kangaroo followed in his footsteps, this one with an armored suit and a pouch cannon. Seriously, a pouch cannon. Yikes. The oldest character on this list, the Living Brain, was debuted in The Amazing Spider-Man #8, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. A robot and supercomputer, he's been revamped several times over the years. Most notably, and strangely, it housed the consciousness of Dr. Octopus in between its time living in Peter Parker's brain and cloning a new body for himself. It's kind of the ultimate couch surfing. It should be noted, our writer loves making me say things like that. Vincent Agron studied dinosaurs with Dr. Kurt the Lizard Connors, and conveniently, he already had a last name that sounded very close to a dinosaur name. He injected some dino DNA into himself, as you do, and again conveniently transformed into a man dino, a Stegosaurus, to be exact. He has been defeated by being pushed into a river, being exposed to cold temperatures, and by having a crush on Shark Girl. So, he is not the most effective Dino Man villain ever. Vermin actually debuted in a Captain America comic, but his second battle was against Spider-Man. He's probably most well known for constantly being thrown into or failing to escape prisons. He has the proportional strength, speed, and stamina of a rat, along with claws, razor-sharp teeth, and fur. He can also control rats with his mind, so I don't know, maybe he was hungry and Pizza Rat was one of his minions, and he was like, go get me a slice, and the rat was like, okay, but it's gonna be off the floor. I don't know. By far, he's the New Yorkiest villain that has ever been created. Ugh. Moreland's actually a pretty cool villain. He and his family, known as the Inheritors, are the most recent on this list, debuting in 2001. They're sorta like the anti-Spider-Men, but as soon as you start trying to explain them, it becomes comic book crazy. They're totemic vampires. They steal life force and they need to eat people affected by the spider totem to prolong their lives. See, that's comic book crazy, that's what it means. That sends them after anyone who's spider-themed in any universe. There's also a Master Weaver that is an ultimate spider totem who can weave the threads of the multiverse. It works a lot better when you read it as a comic book. I'm doing my best, but you just gotta read it, This is the simplest, awesomest description we can give of Swarm. He's a Nazi scientist made of bees. After being eaten by mutated bees, leaving only his skeleton, his mind was transferred into the hive mind, letting Fritz von Meyer control the bees however he'd like. In their first encounter, Spider-Man literally defeated him with a can of Raid, which, I don't know, I feel like it's a little masochistic for Spider-Man to even have Raid. Mary Jane Watson once beat him by spraying him with water, and versions of Swarm have appeared in 2 animated series and in the live-action musical Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark, so Tom Holland better have his bug spray ready. Jackson Wheel has no superpowers. Yes, this is another character whose last name became his alter ego. A down-on-his-luck embezzler, he visits the Tinkerer for a super tech weapon of his own, a literal big wheel. Seriously, he drives in and calls himself Big Wheel in a huge wheel that can climb up buildings and has guns. He didn't appear for 20 years after his first appearance until he got caught up in a scuffle with Stiltman, another inanimate thing turned person, and Spider-Man. Also, doesn't Big Wheel sort of look like the giant wheel from The Price is Right? Kinda. Like this video? Give us a thumbs up, and if you've ever spun the big wheel on Price is Right, leave us a comment because we want to live vicariously through you. What was it like? How did you do the math on the fly? Did you play Plinko? Or did you guess that a car was a certain amount of money? Just leave a comment and I'll find you.